Sunny ways, my friends. Sunny ways.
Your 16 seconds are up. I'm going to ask you again because nobody believes you when you say you don't know how much money your family has got from the wheat group. You had a month to look into that. You knew you were going to testify here. Again, how much money total have your brother, mother, and spouse received from this organization? How much?
That information has been publicly shared, but I will highlight.
Well, then tell me what it is.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
We have recently switched to drinking water bottles out of water out of when we have water bottles out of plastic. Away from plastic towards paper, like drink box water bottles sort of thing. Sorry?
The servicing costs on the debt that you're going to have to carry that you're adding to now, right?
Interest rates are at historic lows, Glenn.
Where's the funds?
On the topic, I mean, in terms of your sort of strategy currently, you're obviously taking the populist pathway.
What does that mean? Oh, Justin, you're awake. You made it. Have a seat. Have a coffee. You need some. Wakey time.
Let's cut that Disney Plus subscription. So we cut it. It's only $13.99 a month that we're saving, but every little bit helps.
A lot of people would say that you're simply taking a page out of the Donald Trump book.
Which people would say that?
Well, I'm sure a great many Canadians, but...
Like who?
I don't know who, but...
Well, you're the one who asked the question, so
yeah.
You must know somebody. Yeah, that's all that's coming off. There's nothing else coming off, yeah. I'm not Justin Trudeau here. Let's fucking go!
Let's fucking go.
Knockout!
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Fringe. Guess who's back? Back again. Fringe is back. Tell your friends. Joining me always is my beautiful wife, Tiffany, Mrs. Fringe. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Great. It's always good to have you on the show. It's
always good to be here.
good to be grounded because I don't know if you guys noticed, we did a couple of streams this week without Mrs. Fringe, and while it's always a little more lighthearted and a little easier to get onto topics and not babble so much when Mrs. Fringe is here to keep me whipped in line. So I'm always glad when you stick around and you're joining us on stream. Speaking of that stream, a lot of people were asking what happened to Wednesday night's stream. They wanted to go back and watch it. Unfortunately, when it re-uploaded after the stream was done, a lot of reports came in from viewers that it was glitching out, that there was issues. I went back and watched it, and there were some problems, so we just privated the stream. So I'm very sorry that we had to remove it, ladies and gents, but those kind of things can do damage so by keeping them up. So I just believe that if you're going to watch anything on this channel, it should be quality, because you already have to suffer by looking at my ugly mug while we go through things. So I'm very sorry we had to remove that. Get those LFGs in the chats, and let's start tonight off with a good old fashioned roll call. We got a lot to talk about in politics tonight. Chime in. Let me know where you're watching from. If you're new to the streams, if this is your first time here, or if you're new in general, just let us know in the chat. Let's see if we can get somebody from every province in the country. Get those LFGs in as well, folks. Let's go. We'll try to get everybody we can. Arthur, okay, chiming in. Black Diamond, great to have you in here. Welcome into the stream. We've got, holy, the chat's moving fast tonight, guys. I apologize if I don't get to everybody again. Xylo coming in from Third Earth. That's a scary place, but welcome in. It's great to have you here. Luca joining once again from Burnaby, BC. We got Julia with the LFGs from Toronto. We got Mr. Meeseeks, look at me, with the LFG coming in. Welcome in. It's great to have you back in the stream. We got the Master of Snatch coming in once again. Good friend of mine, friend of the channel. Great to have you in here as always, Snatch. We got Mike TV Dub jumping in again. We got Kenna RV jumping in as well. We got Carson Sexsmith coming in from Porto Viagra, represented LFG. Welcome in. Great to have you back again, Carson. Miss Danny, south of Calgary. Welcome in. Paula from PEI. Welcome in. Great to have you here. Jim H. Calgary, new for the live streams. Jim, welcome to the Fringe. Welcome to the live streams. Great to have you here. Angela Forsyth coming in from BC. We've got John from Niagara region. Chandra coming in from Medicine Hat. We've got Bella coming in from Windsor, Ontario. Admiral Sniper Productions coming in from Calgary. Welcome in. It's great to have you here. We've got good old Ingrid and Charlie jumping in from Okotoks again with the LFGs. Welcome in. Great to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We got Peter coming in with the LFGs from Forest Glade, Nova Scotia. Sorry, Peter. I know I do that every time you chime in. We got Mike from Ampere, Ontario. Welcome in. Great to have you back. Canada RV, of course, joining us from Ontario. Great to have you in here as well. We've got Jordo, Southwest Saskatchewan with the LFGs. Mike with the LFGs from Sudbury. No regrets coming in from Let's Go Brandon, Manitoba. Welcome in. Great to have you here. Callie Surfer Girl. Hey, y'all, watching with my mom for the first time from Slurry, BC. Welcome in, Callie. It's good to have you back in the streams. Blackface Son of Castro joining us good old once again from Windsor, Nova Scotia with the LFGs. Welcome in. We got Len coming in from Innisfail, Alberta. We got Princess Thickness coming in with Derek's hot wife in the hearts. Thank you so much, Princess Thickness, coming in from Montreal. Great to have you here once again. I always notice when you drop your comments, so please don't think because I don't say it out loud, I don't notice. I do, Princess Thickness. Welcome in again. We've got Brenda Downey coming in, watch all the time from Calgary. I appreciate that. Welcome in. Mr. Meeseeks is coming in from Salmon Arm, BC. If you guys don't get the voice, it's a Rick and Morty reference.
Which is where the name is
which
from.
is where the name is from. Rodney coming in from Newfoundland with the LFG. We've got Ray with the LFG from Southeast Alberta. Welcome in. Phoebe Long from Innisfail, Alberta. Once again, joining us in the streams. Good to have you here. David Brewer coming in from Springfield, Missouri, USA. Welcome in to all of our American friends joining us on stream tonight. It's great to have you here. We got good friend of the channel, good friend of mine, Joe Lyman, coming in once again. Smash that like button if you're watching from Canada. There you go. Hit that likes, folks. We're already at 400 viewers in the multi-stream right now. I can't believe we're just climbing and climbing every week. Guys, get that thumbs up in there. Push this video out. Let people know this chat's worth watching, because not only do we have the best community on the platform, but we got a lot of good stuff to talk about tonight, and we want as many ears on the channel as we can get, as well as eyes. We got Chandra coming in from Medicine Hat again with the LFGs. Matt, hello, fellow hosers. Well, good day, eh? Welcome into the channel, Matt. Good to have you here. Bob Loblaw coming in from, God, I can say that 5 times fast. LFG from Ontario. There you go. We got Angela Hazelton coming in from BC. We've got Jer coming in from New Brunswick. Where else? Where's Wendy from Vancouver Island checking in? Well, make sure to stick around. It's good to have you in here. Snatch saying it's a high energy chat. Absolutely. And I couldn't be happier. Let's keep it going, guys. We got Angela from Martok, Nova Scotia. Dustin Ellis says, I'm trapped in NDP prison in Edmonton. We'll get you out of there soon, Dustin. Don't worry. Thank you for joining us in the stream. Chris V coming in from Selkirk, Manitoba. Gorgeous little town. Used to love Selkirk. First time in the stream, but I watch all your videos. Chris, welcome in. Great to have you here. Princess Thickness saying, you are so lucky. You have no idea, my dear. Yes, I am. And thank you again for the kind compliments. Queen Esther, Mrs. Fringe looks amazing tonight. Love from Essex, Ontario. Mrs. Fringe looks good every night. I don't know if you guys know this, but that's part of the reason I married her. It's not just for the brains, but also the good looks. Daniel coming in from Los Angeles. Wow, welcome into the stream. I think that's the first time we've had an LA viewer here. Great to have you in. YouTube channel, Rick Spicer for Prime Minister coming in from Niagara. We got BC, Powell River, BC. Welcome in. Mariaz coming in from Vancouver. JD once again joining us with the LFGs from Thornsbury, Alberta. Bad Anger Management, my good old brother chiming in, saying, are we playing tonight? I'm alive. He's been gone all week sick. I haven't done my Fortnite this week. I got to get my Fortnite in after the stream. So yes, we are definitely playing later on tonight. Thank you for joining me as always, John. It's always great to have you in here. Is Trudeau out of the country, or is that a rumor? I'm not sure, says Gail, but we're going to get into a little bit about Trudeau tonight. Night's Light coming in from Kamloops. Welcome in. We've got Kuma Road King coming in from Kamado, Japan. Wow. That's an incredible. Thank you for chiming in. We've got, who else do we have here? Stephen Kennedy in New Brunswick. We got Peggy in Saskatchewan. Two Flips. Mrs. Fringe, you go, girl. Love the hair and makeup. Thank you so much for the compliments, guys. You guys are too nice to Mrs. Fringe all the time. I think that's why she keeps coming back. She gets all the compliments. Alex coming in from Kelowna. Welcome in. We got Gail from Alberta. Terry and Debbie from Rimby. We've got Brian hopefully not shoveling up poop on Wasaga Beach. Welcome in to the stream, Brian Watson. Wasn't that a Bare Naked Lady song? Lying in bed, just like Brian Watson did?
Yeah.
Or no, Brian Wilson.
Brian Wilson.
It was Brian Wilson.
Close.
Well, we're close. Len coming in from Cobalt, Ontario. Welcome into the stream. Cindy, Ontario. Karen coming in from Blackfalds, Alberta. We've got the Gimster, first time here from BC. Let's go Conservatives. Gimster, welcome into the stream. Great to have you here. David Brewer joining us again with an LFG. Welcome in. We've got a Dead STK coming in from Sarnia, Ontario. Welcome in. It's great to have you here. Terry Lee from Cowtown. Jock coming in from Coopus Casing, Ontario. Again, yes, hit that like button, folks. John coming in once again to the stream. It's great to have you here. My Steal Ya Blocks coming in from Northern Alberta. Great to have you in. Down 5 coming in from Vancouver Island. Mark coming in from Ontario. God, you guys are just piling in tonight. Jeff Hepburn from Burlington, Ontario. Welcome in. Is that where they have the Burlington Coat Factory? You're going to like the way you look. I guarantee it. Welcome in. I know it's not.
Think somebody watches too much
I
TV.
watch too much television. You Thunder coming in from North Quebec. We've got Danny in from Peace River. Graham coming in. We hate Trudeau from Ontario. I think everybody hates Trudeau, but it's good to know. Thanks for popping in. Robert from Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Gorgeous town. Thank you for joining us tonight on the stream. We got Diana Chambers coming in from Belleville, Ontario. We got Diana in from Medicine Hat. We've got Crazy Grandma coming in from Portage, Manitoba. Alice is saying Shabbat Shalom. Well, welcome in, my dear. It's great to have you in the stream. Ingrid Stewart, Tiffany, you look amazing tonight.
Thank you.
God, isn't it nice to be told that? Everybody comes in and goes, "Oh God, you look like such a fat guy" every time I'm on stream.
You
but
look
hey,
good, baby.
Oh God, I gotta be honest there. I'm a little bloated. I've had a little bit too much drive-through this week. Let's keep it going, guys. I'm just joking. I'm just playing. Let's go. One Mecca coming in from Toronto, Ontario. Thanks for all you do, Derek and Mrs. Fringe. We love you. We love you too. Thanks for popping in. Northern Ghost, Kelowna as well. Ladies and gents, we got to get caught up in the chat. I apologize if I've missed your shout outs. And but before we get there, JR with a $5 super chat, sending you the LFG and Mrs. Fringe from Medicine Hat. Thank you so much for everybody who's popping into the stream, everybody who's flooding the chat, guys. This chat
This is awesome.
is moving so fast tonight. We got to get caught up. We're almost 500 viewers strong. Let's see if we can break a viewer record tonight on the stream. I think 1,300 is our max.
Let's do it.
Let's get over that tonight. So make sure if you're in here, guys, costs you nothing. Get those thumbs up in the live streams. Right below the video, you'll see the thumbs up button. It pushes the video out. It tells people this is worth watching. And boy, YouTube's been slamming us down on the
It has.
censorship lately. So it'd be great to hit a record tonight. I'd love to see that happen.
Because you're very good at telling the truth out there this week.
Arthur
so-
saying you're at 458. Yeah, so we're sitting at 503, but I also multi-stream to multiple platforms while we're on the stream. So what I see versus what you guys see are two different things. And we just crossed the 500 barrier. LFG, guys, let's go. Let's get it moving. Let's talk a little bit about what happened this week, about what's going on this week, because Parliament is in shambles, which is good. If there's one thing I love seeing, it's the government told that they're not allowed to do their job, especially when they can't pass bills and ruin our lives while we're waiting for Justin Trudeau to get kicked out of office.
It's a good thing.
It's
totally.
a fantastic thing.
Yes.
So we followed the slush fund arguments that are going on in the House of Commons and the committees and everything, asking Justin Trudeau, why are you giving your friends all these contracts? Where's the money going? Show me the money. And essentially the House voting in favor with the Bloc and NDP to be transparent, to show the documents as to where these payments went. We covered a video on that on the channel a couple months ago, before the summer break, saying how great it was that we're hopefully going to see some transparency. Now, I did mention in that video, I'm willing to bet we're going to see redacted documents.
100%.
We all know how transparent the government is when it comes to...
Well, especially Trudeau. I mean, he certainly does not like to put any information out there. So,
well, again,
it's unlike him to answer a question.
You think back to the Emergency Act inquiry.
Yes.
And the redacted documents that came forward in there. And they said, well, we're being transparent. We're being transparent, you see. We're making sure you get all the information. Well, what's happened here is Justin Trudeau again summoned in to provide all receipts. And of course, he hasn't. Greg Fergus being pushed into a corner. He had no choice. He had to stop the House of Commons. He has stopped. So this is good news because it stops Justin Trudeau's censorship bill from moving forward, or his Online Harms Act, as we've talked about. It's also stopping, is it 263 or 270? What, I get them all confused sometimes, folks. Whatever the shutting down meat plants bill, controlling our food supply. And he's also shut down Alice Avonlea, by the way, who's going to get a frozen bank account for $2 super chat. The 10 days of AWE have just begun. Welcome in. Thank you so much for the super chat. Everything is going crazy in the House of Commons. So Justin Trudeau slowed down until he produces the documents. And what's really funny is that I figured by that point, Trudeau might cave. He might start providing something because he wants to get his bills through. It's not going to happen.
No.
It's not happening.
It hurts him too much to put that through versus his bills. He's got to decide, right?
He needs to make a decision. But what we're seeing here, I'm going to share the screen over here, folks. We're going to go over some articles because we can't show videos because I don't know if you guys have noticed. If you watch today's video about the CBC, some people are telling me that video was old news. I want to get into that video a little later. We're not going to show it, but I want to talk a little bit more about that. But essentially now there's lots of outlets like the CBC that are doing what's called content ID strikes to stop us from showing their footage, even though it's fair use. Before we get into the article, I just want to highlight Chris Deering giving out 5 unacceptable fringe memberships to the Patriots Club. Welcome to all 5 new Patriots in the stream. And I also want to highlight Dustin Ellis for another $5 super chat. Enjoy your frozen bank account. What do you think of the Conservatives supporting the OAS block bill? I think, well, it's necessary, I think. We'll get into it. We're going to get into it, but thank you for the $5 super chat. I don't want to get off topic right now.
Yes.
I will get to that. Please, somebody remind me later on in the stream. Ken RV saying, I like the bill. I like it too. I'm going to try to elaborate a little bit more as we go on into the stream. Parliament's here at a standstill, though, over the scandal-plagued, yet immune from liability Liberals. So my question to everybody here, we were talking about this at dinner. How do you say we're guilty without saying we're guilty? I mean, Karina Gould standing up in the House of Commons and saying it's absurd that Canadians are demanding these documents, or that the House is pausing legislature procedures simply because they want the documents. Let's get into this article from Rebel News. In addition to the Liberals' gross mismanagement of the 2020 outbreak and their disturbing manipulation tactics to force novel pharmaceutical products into the arms of every Canadian, the most recent discussions surrounding corruption in various committees and the House of Commons affairs reveal that the government is increasingly prioritizing their own political and private interests over the well-being of Canadians, further eroding public trust and accountability. This prompted the official opposition to call 2 privilege motions after the Speaker of the House ruled that the Liberal government broke parliamentary rules, refusing to turn over documents relating to the Green Slush Fund and the questionable conduct of senior Liberal MP Randy Boissonnault. Where is the other Randy? In fact, I find it funny that Randy Boissonnault is criticizing Danielle Smith on her currently passing or about to pass gender harms bill that essentially is going to stop kids under the age of 18 from taking gender-altering medication or gender-altering surgeries and procedures.
Mm-hmm.
So what's funny about Randy is he's in there criticizing Danielle Smith on her bills. He doesn't want to speak out about his corruption with all of his money transferring in conflicts of interest.
Do you think that killed the Speaker, having to go against the Liberals?
Of course it did. Of course it did. You know what else kills me? Super chat from NJW for $10 saying, I love all your hard work. Thank you so much. I appreciate everything you guys do in this channel. Again, we have the best community here on the platform. If you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, folks, get it up there. I don't know if you've noticed, we're getting closer and closer all the time to 50K. And at that time, ladies and gentlemen, as the great John Bon Jovi once said, whoa, we're halfway there. On our way to being verified. So get those subscriptions in. Let's take a look at what's going on in this article. Let's keep it going. The Conservatives have called for these documents to be sent to the RCMP to assess whether criminal charges are justified given the funneling of taxpayer dollars to Liberal insiders. Of course it is. This is treasonous behavior.
But they're never going to be charged.
They're never going to be charged. They always claim parliamentary privilege. When I've always gone back to the sponsorship scandal, that when you look at Jean Chrétien and the sponsorship scandal, a lot of people were on the edge of their seats at that time saying, is Jean Chrétien going to get charged Are we going to see a prime minister or former PM go to jail? Of course not. Never happens. They've always and Night of Philema hitting it right on the head here. Oh, sorry, chat moves so fast. The RCMP are criminals and corrupted, just like the Liberals. Couldn't agree more. Ram 19 saying it was the other Randy, it was the other Liberals, it was the other Canada, and it's all Harper's fault. Yeah, hitting it on the head right there. Len saying the RCMP are weak now. Yes, absolutely they are. And Brenda hitting it right here. I want our tax dollars back. We all do. This is insanity when it comes to the behavior of entitled liberal governments. Shelby Monroe with a $3 super sticker. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Get those likes in there, folks. Let's keep getting these viewers up. Let's hit this viewer goal by the end of the night. Let's break a record. As long as the Liberals refuse. Oh, sorry. Let's go back to what the Speaker ruled. The Speaker ruled that Parliament rules were broken by Liberal cover-ups, that the House of Commons demanded these documents be sent to the RCMP so they can determine whether or not there are criminal charges warranted because of this corruption, said House Leader Andrew Scheer earlier this week. And as long as the Liberals refuse to comply with document disclosure, Parliament is now essentially frozen until the House deals with the Conservatives' corruption motion. And the unfolding leads to many to wonder if hundreds of millions of dollars funneled to Liberal-owned companies involving hundreds of conflicts of interest, according to the Auditor General, is the tip of the iceberg. Of course it is. That's part of the reason I wanted to touch base on this article, is that essentially, my question, it's not even my question or Mrs. Fringe's question. We all know the answer. How deep does this iceberg go? How many billions of dollars are we talking about at this point?
I just want to share that information because...
Do you have a guess?
Oh, too much.
Too much. We got too much. Again, these documents are going to have to surface at some point. But I think that when we talked about the stream title saying the walls are closing in on Justin Trudeau, we've seen it this week as the Bloc has come out and said that as early as next week or this upcoming week, they're going to be entertaining with other parties the idea of calling an early election. They've said that the Liberals have no spine to come through with the deals that they put forward. And we talked about Blanchette's deals before. This was a never deal.
Yeah.
He asked for sheer insanity because he knew Justin Trudeau couldn't provide it. It gives him the excuse to call the election. And I believe that this is a tactical move based on what we saw with David Lamette's riding in Quebec. And that is that the Bloc is seeing a chance to seize up some seats, even away from the Conservatives, by calling an election. This is a pure strategic move on Blanchette's part to try and make the Bloc a little bit stronger in the House of Commons. So I don't think it's a matter of him getting the deal at this point, and that's the reason why he's going to break his promise to wait until the 29th of October, I believe.
Yeah.
So he's going to break that deal and essentially start entertaining the idea of calling an election as early as next week. Now, when he's going to call that election, I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine, but hopefully it's coming sooner rather than later. Princess Thickness chiming in on the iceberg saying, deep, Derek, very, very deep. That's what she said. But hey, your guess is as good as mine when we're going to hear an election, when we're going to see something coming forward. But as long as Parliament is frozen, as long as the Liberals put their hands in the air and keep crying like this about having to provide receipts for the spending that they've committed, it's only going to make things worse. And it's only going to push people like the NDP to criticize the government even further, to a point where they're pushed into a corner that they have to flip-flop. And once again, even though Jugmeat says they tore up an agreement that they never tore up, he's going to have to start pushing against the Liberals as well. Mystical's got it on the head. I got my popcorn. Yeah, we need the popcorn. An election is coming at this point. I think it's safe to say we're going to see one before 2025 October's deadline, that it's going to come far before. I was skeptical. I'll admit, we talked about it all summer long.
Yeah.
I remember on our road trip, you were asking, what do you think the odds of an election are?
Yeah, like it's a lot of talk, but will it actually happen? But
and of course I said, look, they in the spring they said in the winter last year they said there's going to be a spring election.
Mm-hmm.
Then in the spring, they said, nope, summer election. And then in the summer, they go, no, fall election. Of course, they're always doing that because then they can go, see, we called it.
But they're pushing it a lot more now than they ever have.
Well, they were pushing it a lot more in the fall. But now that the Bloc is coming forward saying, look, we're going to call an election. We're going to start entertaining calling an election. even if people say, look, they have to, come to an agreement with the Conservatives, they're going to have to find a way to negotiate their terms for calling an election. Pierre has a golden opportunity here, and of course, he's not going to waste it. He's already had 2 non-confidence motions this week alone in the House of Commons. He's going to probably cave to whatever the Bloc wants in order to call an election and get Justin Trudeau out, because Pierre's numbers have never been better. And he knows as well as we know, we all need an election sooner than later. I'm okay with giving the Bloc a deal if it means getting Justin Trudeau out of office. Now, do I like the Bloc? No, I've never been a fan of the Bloc. But again, at this point, I'd take untreated syphilis if it meant Justin Trudeau getting kicked out of office. We can't deal with this anymore. We just can't. We can't. Well, I'd probably be single. David Brewer, when is the Dragon's Lair build stream coming? So I don't know if you noticed, the new Dragon's Lair is behind me. It's already been built. Mrs. Fringe came home this week with a surprise. He
was far too excited. He couldn't do his dream.
It wasn't just the excitement. Our kids wanted to join in on the build. And honestly, I looked at this. You can't really see it from here. I talked about this on Wednesday's surprise stream, that the light up marquee on the top of this machine is a 3-dimensional angled marquee that sticks out of the machine. It's a different build from other ones, and it was going to involve me moving around cameras constantly. It was going to turn into a gong show.
And the instructions weren't quite as easy as the other ones you've done.
I never have a problem putting these machines together, but I had some colorful language when we were putting this one together.
I remember when you first opened it, you were like, oh, they have it separated in boxes. Isn't this fun? And then like 10 minutes later, you were like, I hate this.
It was a gong show. JR coming in. Winter is coming for the feds. Hugs to my fellow Fringies with the $7 super chat. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. So yeah, so there will be no build stream. I'm sorry. I really wanted to. It was a matter, honestly, of the camera and all the awkwardness of moving it around. So for anybody who was looking forward to that, I do apologize. But let me tell you something. That machine is godly, and I am so grateful for Mrs. Fringe coming home with that, saying, we were having some issues selling the house. Here's a way to kind of, drown your sorrows. And Megan RP, is there any luck selling the house? Not yet, but we might have made some headway. I'll get into that a little later in the stream. Guys, we're at 700 viewers on the multi-stream. Keep getting those thumbs up in there. You guys are doing great tonight.
It's all you.
So it's because you're sitting with me. I can guarantee you. You're eye candy. People are coming here to look. So the walls are closing in on Justin Trudeau. His time is coming to an end. What really sucks is the term "it's over" has been abused so much by other YouTubers that I can't even put that in a title anymore.
By the time it is actually over.
Yeah, but I think when it is actually over, when they do call an election, keep your eyes peeled. My thumbnail will say it's really over. Carson Sexsmith with a $5 super chat. I'll pay $100 if we hit 1,000 viewers or 1,000 thumbs up. There's the challenge, guys. Get those thumbs ups in there, you guys. That's amazing. Thank you for that offer. That's incredible. I seen it right here. Where's Jim H? The noose is tightening. Absolutely, it is. Shelby saying, I'd love to see Justine behind bars. As much as I would, I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. I seen Ann chime in as well. Prayers for all the people suffering and prayers for missing people in the hurricane disaster areas. Yes, I heard about the hurricane this week. It's terrible news. Again, our condolences out to every family that's suffering. Hopefully everybody's safe.
And even their government has put a stop to funding for help on that as well.
Yeah, America's in a weird spot right now, but this is the last thing they needed, especially in an election month.
Yeah.
As we get closer to Donald being the next president of the United States of America. I know it's a terrible, terrible Trump. I sound like a constipated old man, but prayers out to the U.S., guys. Yeah. Prayers out to the U.S. Somebody had mentioned Jagmeet's pension. Can I be Jagmeet Singh for Halloween? If you're putting on blackface in order to do it, you're probably better off being Justin Trudeau than Jagmeet Singh. But you also need the banana in the pants if you're going to do that.
Okay, I don't know that reference.
Well, so there were 2 instances that were recorded on video in media of Justin Trudeau doing blackface. The first one was the Aladdin costume.
Yes.
The second one was when he was singing Deo. And he had the wig on, and you seen him sticking his tongue out and lifting his arms. He had a banana in his pants while he was doing that. And that was the joke, was that apparently people who sing Deo are well endowed. And Justin isn't, so he had to shove a banana down there.
Well, there's proof from the Spider-Man picture.
Dustin Ellis, yeah. The NDP won't support an election till Jimmy gets his pension. Once he does, Justin will prologue Parliament. So I want to chime in on that. First off, thank you for the $5 super chat. Here's where I think that's going to shift and going to change. I think Jagmeet's going to understand that he's got an opportunity here to try and sway voters to keep him around, even though it won't happen. I think that his head is so full, he's going to believe that he stands some kind of a chance.
He might be prime minister one day.
He's very delusional at best, but what I think is going to happen is that what you have to understand here is it all comes down to not just him but the party. The Liberals, and we talked about this on a video earlier this week and on the live stream, that the Liberals are currently pushing a no party status by the amount of seats they're projected to lose in the next election. If the Conservatives all stand up and they say, look, they're not putting the documents forward, they've screwed the country, no confidence, we're calling an election. If the NDP pushes the Liberals at this point, just like I said in last year's non-confidence vote, or earlier this year in the new year, you're watching the funeral of the NDP party. Those people will lose their seats, not just Jagmeet, and they may go to non-party status as well. So I don't think they're going to have a choice, much like Greg Fergus didn't have a choice and was pushed into a corner when it comes time to freeze Parliament. So I do think it's still possible. Carson Sexsmith, while JD said he'll match my $100 LFG people. Guys, let's get
1,000.
Let's get 1,000 likes in here. Let's see if we can hit an all-time record. I'm more interested in hitting a record. I like breaking records.
Well, now we're at 700, so we're getting there.
710 so far, guys. Get those thumbs ups in the stream. Let's go. You guys think the Liberal government is going to declare prorogue or hand over the SDCC documents to the RCMP? They're going to make any declaration they can at this point, I think, to keep their eyes out of the crosshairs. It's guy. Look at the We Charity scandal. Look at the AgaCon. Look at Jody Wilson-Raybould.
I mean, the scandal list just goes on and on and on and on.
They've covered their tracks in every possible way. It's going to continue. Year with or Jerry, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing either of those. With a $5 super chat, thank you so much. You think if the RCMP have documents, you think they'll press charges at a Liberal after a Liberal MP? Again, it comes down to the same thing as Trudeau using loopholes. The problem with the RCMP is they say that they're nonpartisan and that they're supposed to act outside of the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister does not have influence over them, no matter who's in office, whether it's a Liberal Prime Minister or Conservative Prime Minister. But what did we see during the Freedom Convoy? What happened during the Freedom Convoy? Did the RCMP do the right thing? Did they follow the laws, or did they take orders from a fascist dictator?
I mean, we know cops that quit because they were not willing to take orders.
There were cops that quit. They didn't want to side with what was happening. But if you think, even with incriminating documents, unless the Conservatives get their hands on those documents to show bias by the RCMP and push them into a corner, I don't think we'll see charges. Please don't promote our kids being Justin or Jag for Halloween. We like our kids.
Yes.
Listen, I thought this was adults asking what they should do. Listen, I don't want to see. Sorry. That sounded like that really hurt.
No, I felt more bad about the desk than I did my
leg. Mrs. Fringe banging her leg on the table there. Look, I don't want to convince kids to go out and get their asses kicked on Halloween. Yeah, don't dress up as Justin Trudeau or Jagmeet Singh for Halloween. At the very least, wear like a state mental hospital gown with a Justin Trudeau mask. Or something
Canada
along those. Yeah, make Canada great again with a Pierre mask or something. Don't do that. Don't do that.
We do like our kids.
Stephen Kennedy, I quit my job because of the woke BS they're obsessed with. Yeah. It's funny you say that because during the pandemic, your work slowed down. And I remember you looking at different opportunities.
Okay, during the pandemic, I was looking for different opportunities because I was working for a really bad company.
Okay, but when that came to an end, how many jobs were turning you down because of your medical status?
Yes.
Because you couldn't provide documentation that you went and sat with the jibby jabs. This is
wouldn't.
And you know what? I don't think you had any regrets not working for a company like that.
Absolutely not.
In fact, it's kind of like you were talking one time about how when people get resumes with the pronouns, they don't tell them they're not going to hire them because their pronouns are on there, but they know how difficult those people are going to be to work with. So usually those resumes end up on the bottom of the pile. It's kind of the same thing in that process. That
Well,
when
my brother even had issues with people in the interviews asking for safe space. He's like, okay, we won't be calling you back.
yeah, it's one of those things that when the companies turn you down and say, well, you need to have this medical procedure to work here, it's almost like putting them on the bottom of the pile and saying, dodged a bullet. We don't want to work for a company like that. So kudos to having the ability to walk away from a job.
To be able to make that choice, yeah.
I know a lot of people aren't. Floody Boy with a comment. I think what will be really interesting is see how long the House of Commons business is paused, and with it being paused, if it'll interfere with the Liberals delivering the Bloc's requests. The Liberals can't deliver on the Bloc's requests. This is where I'm saying it was a never deal. Blanchette asked for something that was going to cost, I believe they said roughly, and this was a guesstimate, $16 billion. Justin Trudeau doesn't have $16 billion, and Blanchette knew that. He was requesting a never deal. Ken RV saying pause it until an election. I wish they would. I'd be okay with that. I
mean, Trudeau's going to try and push through everything he can before an election.
Blaze Lionheart saying unacceptable for Fringe. I'm a new grad in data science. Congratulations. Looking for work now. Hopefully it all goes well. Anybody looking for somebody in data science, hey, reach out. Reach out, Blaze Lionheart. Congratulations. That's Queen Esther lost my job for not taking the jab. A lot of people did.
Yeah.
One of my good friends who wrote our old theme song for when we were starting out on live streams, who's also the father of my illustrator for our books, was fired from his job because he refused the jab, and he worked as a peace officer. He walked away from a 20-year career that he'd been doing since high school. Well, out of high school.
Yeah.
Wanted to be in law enforcement. Never made it to full law enforcement, but this is where he was. He loved his job, had to walk away from it. Was discriminated against. Everybody was. This happened all across the board. Things became more expensive for people.
Yeah, the top one.
This one?
No, up.
This?
Above it. The 4X guy. He says, I regret taking the jab.
I regret taking the jab for the job.
There's a lot of people who do.
There were a lot of people who were pushed into a corner.
I had a friend who had to take the jab, not for her job, but just so she could see her husband who was dying in the hospital. They had no choice.
So I remember being talked to.
You feel like you didn't have a choice.
Well, and they tried talking to us like that when my mom was in palliative care. That, well, if you just go and get medical procedures, you're allowed different rights.
Well, my grandparents too, right? Like when my grandma was in the home, I could go to a special room, but I couldn't go to her room.
That's right. So there were all these rules that, hey, if you just comply, we're going to make your life easier.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still happy to be a pureblood. I'm not doing anything I don't want to do.
Not going to wake up with the third eye one day.
Not to say that there's those who didn't have a choice, those who had to make a living and didn't really have a choice, or those who have made the choice. That's your decisions to make.
Well,
I just know
who did it because they had people in their families that were immune compromised, and everybody had a reason for it.
I mean, Randy from the Peg, is this the other Randy? 50 to 60% were forced.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Or made feel guilty to do it too.
Yeah. RV saying some were forced.
It was the separatism that came with it.
Yeah.
That I didn't agree with. Like, it wouldn't bother me if you did or didn't. But I had kids who couldn't go to birthday parties because their parents weren't, or a lot of things. We lost friends, we lost family because of it.
Yeah. And I've talked about that to great extent on streams. Boxcar Philly coming through. My previous boss had to take the jab to be present for the birth of his son. He was so angry, so the hospital made him do it. Yeah, like again.
I mean, you would have had to. Luckily, we had our son at the very beginning of 2020, so it wasn't even an option then.
Well, I told them there's going to be, like, they asked, are you guys going to be looking into it? No, we're not doing anything.
But when I thought I was losing the baby, you couldn't even come up to the emergency room with me.
No, it was barred off.
Yeah,
can't
I had to do it alone.
Everybody went through this. It's unfortunate.
It's over.
People were forced because they had to pay their bills. And what we're seeing right now as a result of Justin Trudeau, one thing I wanted to share that came forward. We've often talked about our move. I'll update everybody on the move because somebody asked about it earlier, but I don't want to get too into boring conversation about our personal lives that maybe is of no interest to people. But part of the reason that I've said we wanted to move was for better affordability.
Yes.
You wanted small town to get away from crime. Part of moving up to Spruce Grove was it was less expensive than
But
Calgary.
the culture of the city has changed. It's not where I want to raise the kids. Like, there's a lot of
Calgary's turning very woke, and it's getting to be unaffordable.
Yeah.
Now, this week, of course, I'd mentioned on a previous stream again, and I'm just going to repeat it quickly because that stream had to be deleted. That we had to lower the price of our house. Now we've had to lower it considerably because now we have data to show that the market had peaked. Things are coming down a little bit, but we're in line still to sell our house. In fact, I'm more confident now than ever with that price lowering that we're probably going to have it sold within a week to 2 weeks tops. But part of what I was talking about with somebody who I know in real estate was that what we're seeing here, and I'm going to use Calgary as an example, that if you're buying a house at $600,000, if you're entry level into the real estate market and you're buying a house at say $600,000, you put down your 5%, that is a $3,000 a month mortgage payment every month. In order to make that kind of money, even to qualify, you have to be in a job where your median income is about $130,000 a year. That's disgusting. For two people, even a single person, you could never hope to make that
never
on the current wages. And we're going to get into wages because Naheed Nenshi made a really stupid comment about wages in Alberta. And I'm going to get to that. You know who else is making comments about wages? Chris Deering with a $5 super chat. Liberals talking about charter rights in the House right now is just wild. We remember what you did. Yeah, it's very hypocritical that they talk about their charter rights at a time when they never even respected our own.
No.
But back on the housing thing, what we've noticed is that I said, I thought the house was worth so much. We had it sitting for the last 4.5 weeks with no movement. Every house in the neighborhood, same thing, no sold signs. And what this person in real estate told me is that what they think has happened is that houses for entry level have hit such a peak that the working class can no longer afford them. They can no longer get into them. They can't even get approved to get into them. That there's people out there paying $3,000 a month for rent. But the problem is when they go to the bank and say, well, I'm paying $3,000 a month for rent. I can pay $3,000 for my own mortgage. They say, no, you can't because your debt ratio is not in line with your wages. Remember, I think you're only allowed something like 38% of your take home or your gross to go towards your mortgage. So people can't qualify. So I think what's happened is that housing has hit a peak where people are saying, I just can't buy a house at that price because the wages don't reflect the cost of living. Now, for those people who have been in the market, people who are selling their houses and they got a little bit of money to play with, it's a little bit easier because they have equity. They have falsely generated equity based on panic buying in any real estate market, whether it's Vancouver, Toronto, Montreal, Calgary, Edmonton, you name it. If you've been in the market, you're secure. But for people trying to get in, it's a gong show. That gong show is about to get worse when I see this article coming out of Rebel. Trudeau's mass immigration agenda could drive rents up to $5,600 per month. Concordia University predicts a 72% surge in the cost of a 2-bedroom apartment that could drive rents up to $5,600 a month.
Does it say what province this would be in?
I'm assuming we're going to get into that, and it could be Ontario, I'm guessing, or major cities, it says. Let's go. Should Canada maintain current immigration levels over the next 2 decades, rent in major cities could render most Canadians homeless, according to new research. Concordia University predicts rent could surpass a whopping $5,600 in major cities if trends continue, reported True North.
We would be homeless. We'd be moving.
Who can afford $5,600 a month for a 2-bedroom apartment? Who can pay that?
2-bedroom apartment. People with families.
Now, we did a video a week ago showing just how much money immigrants are getting when they come here. Gimme-grants. Gimme. When they come to Canada, all the tax breaks they get, the extra money if they have kids, it almost tallies up to $9,000 a month on average if they have 2 children.
Yep. I need that.
So they don't care if rent goes up to $5,600 because the government's allowing them to live.
Well, and the government will give them more money if it's too unaffordable.
So it says here that the report insights to key factors influencing Canada's rental market suggest that even a modest increase in newcomers can harm housing affordability. If you look at what happened in Calgary recently, this little pit you're looking at with a hole in it, a hole in the ground, this is a encampment that had to be shut down this week. A man went unnoticed in a portion of Calgary because he had dug a hole in the ground that had rooms in it.
And the only reason it was found was because of a runaway tarp.
A tarp blew away and somebody noticed the hole and called police. Now, I can't play the audio again because we know how these guys are blocking videos. I'm just going to play it without audio and show you. Here's the hole. Here's the hole in the ground. You can see that, like, look at this. It's a makeshift room.
There were rooms.
Rooms up, multiple rooms underneath. It went down 20 feet.
They never caught the guy who was living in it, but they have now destroyed it.
They've destroyed it. So yeah, they didn't catch the guy.
And he was close to connecting electricity to it.
Yeah, he was in the process of getting electricity. But if we even go up on the article, here's a personally fabricated stun gun.
A taser.
That the guys made. I just want to get a little bit into the article so you have an idea what we're talking about. First responders in Calgary have destroyed a tunnel and encampment south of the Stampede grounds, citing health and safety risks on Thursday. This is an incredibly elaborate underground structure that was highly dangerous, not only to those inhabiting it, but for the surrounding community. Camping on public land is against city bylaws. However, when approaching sites where individuals are experiencing homelessness, we balance compassion with their safety and the safety of the community. That's going to grow exponentially if we see rents hitting $5,600 a month.
I mean, we see tent cities all the time when we're driving around.
There's tents everywhere. And winter is coming.
Yes. And last winter, they had bonfires in the bus.
They have bonfires in the bus shelters, and they're shooting up with all their drugs and other things in there. Police found the encampment early last month at the 3200 block of 25th Avenue in Southeast. Human-made tunnel dug into the ground led to fully functioning shelter obscured by brush and a steep slope. The shelter was about 6 feet high, 7 feet wide, and 10 feet long. The site was searched twice last week, followed by a 3-day excavation starting Thursday. Homelessness is a complex issue, police said. No, it's not. It's the government's fault. Call a spade a spade. This is insane. Addressing homelessness necessitates holistic approaches and prioritizes affordable housing, social support systems, mental health services, and policies aimed at combating systemic injustices. Here's part of the problem. Here's the problem. It's the government's fault that this is where it is. It's Justin Trudeau's spending. It's the carbon tax. It's the mass inflation that's been pushed towards people that they can't afford to live. They have no choice. It's safe consumption sites. You're enabling people rather than treating their addictions. You're spending money to give people more street drugs that Justin Trudeau has decriminalized, rather than spending money on treating these people. If you were truly compassionate, you would treat these people's addictions and get them the help they need. Instead, you're flooding the streets.
But not all of the homeless people are drug addicts.
They're not all drug, but I'm talking about the safe consumption sites.
Yes.
I'm saying on that aspect, you're enabling people rather than treating them.
Downtown, I've seen more homeless people downtown, and a lot of them sit outside City Hall.
One thing I want to get into where the problem is, you want to talk about socialists and Marxists, look no further than Nahid Nenshit. Posts earlier this week, in case you missed it, Alberta now has the lowest minimum wage in Canada. Guess what? Ignoring the problem doesn't make it go away. Nenshi, now keep in mind, this is a guy who has a Harvard degree in economics. Harvard. This should tell you right away that the guy talks out of his ass more than anything else. Because anybody who understands economics knows that the minimum wage isn't the problem. So I want to touch on a tweet that I put out. Oh, that was my bad. I was sending a tweet. Here we go. I said, what happens when we raise the minimum wage and the middle class can't afford the price hikes on basic products? For a guy with an economics degree, I'd expect you to start asking real questions about wages, why the middle class wage has barely increased in almost a decade, and yet prices on goods and services are almost double. So I got a lot of negative replies with people saying the prices have been increasing without minimum wage and the stores reported high profits in term. Wages aren't the issue. So there's somebody who doesn't
But that's
understand.
carbon tax as well. Like, I mean, if you're going to add everything to it.
But this is somebody who doesn't understand basic economics, and I'm going to get into it. Somebody with a Ukrainian flag on their profile, which tells you a lot, says, this is when the Easter Bunny attacks. It never happened. It never will happen. You want middle incomes to increase low incomes. Middle incomes will follow. No, they don't.
They have not.
They haven't already. If life is so hard, maybe you can't afford to give Elon $8 a month to share your uneducated opinion. You always know when somebody's really virtue signaling and blowing smoke out their ass on Twitter, because they always mention Elon's monthly cost because you have a blue check mark. Somebody says it's okay for billionaires not to pay taxes. So what you're saying is, for free market to work, there has to be a poor underclass to make things cheap for you. No. Here's what I did say. And here's what I wanted to get into, because this goes into the homeless encampments. This goes into why we're talking about $5,700 a month rents. I said, people here obviously don't remember when the minimum wage in Alberta was set to $15 an hour. Places like Walmart, McDonald's, Tim Hortons, etc., simply raised their prices and fired a large portion of staff to make up to increase for a loss on profits. So we saw all those self-serve kiosks at McDonald's, more self-checkouts at Walmart's, less employees working the floor. When wages went up from minimum wage employees, but the middle class stayed the same, making their wages have less purchasing power. If you made slightly above minimum wage, you were living below the poverty line. If the costs of goods increases to reflect the raised minimum wage, nothing changes for minimum wage workers. Meaning, if they go from making $11 an hour to $15, and the common products are raised as a result, then they have the same purchasing power as they did when they were making $11 an hour. Nothing changes for minimum wage workers. In fact, it harms them because they still can't afford anything. Marxists will pretend that raising minimum wages is the answer to their problems because they know nothing about economics. The problem is retailers raising prices to cover their bonuses and their bottom lines, and the government and how much tax they take. Lowering those and minimum wage workers benefit can now afford to live. So meaning, if the government stopped taking as much tax from us, and if the goods stayed down in price, the less tax going on a paycheck would benefit the minimum wage workers, that they could be able to afford to buy whatever they're buying.
It doesn't push the companies to raise their pay, which raises everything else.
So what Nahid Nenshit is talking about is essentially buying votes. What he wants to do is, again, appeal to the minimum wage workers to say, hey, I'm going to boost your wages and life's going to be great. And people think, wow, I can make more than $15 an hour to work at McDonald's. I'm totally going to vote for that. What they don't realize is what comes with that. You get your, say, $18 an hour minimum wage job, and suddenly Walmart says, well, the cost of bread's going up from $4 a loaf to $6 now because we have to pay that extra money for our minimum wage staff, right? They're not going to sacrifice their profits to do that. Meanwhile, anybody who was making, say, $18 an hour already suddenly can't afford to buy the things they used to buy because the minimum wage workers are sucking up all of the ability to have purchasing power. I was just about to get to it. Here's DM with $27 Big Mac. When we went to Disneyland last year with the kids,
yeah,
the first thing I noticed was going into an American McDonald's where the sign outside said $15 an hour to start, minimum. That's $15 an hour US, keep in mind. So in Canadian, that's over $20 an hour to work at McDonald's. McDonald's in the US have reported record losses because McDonald's used to be the cheap place to eat, even though it's crap. It's garbage food.
Here in Canada too, though.
Yeah, I'm not debating we're not debating the quality of food coming out
I
of
meant the price.
McSlurrianus, but what we're talking about is what happens is that people can't afford to eat there anymore, so they stop going. And McDonald's has to cave and say, well, we're going to bring in deals to get people back. What they don't realize is that if they stopped charging people so much, and if the government stopped taxing people so much, and the minimum wage decreased, goods would come down. Businesses, there needs to be some form of a regulation in terms of businesses and the profits that they're taking. I don't know what the solution to that is. So please don't think that because I'm suggesting it means that I have an answer. But there has to be some form of control, even though it's free market, over retailers as to what they can charge for profits. And how much their prices are mocked up. We already have what they call usury laws when it comes to what credit card companies charge on interest rates. The problem is the profits that these businesses are taking and the taxes the government are taking.
But we were paying the same Canadian, like our family, $50 to eat at McDonald's for breakfast. We were paying $50 US to eat the same thing.
To eat the same thing in the US. So it was almost 75.
Like we weren't saving anything.
Nothing was savings. It's Renegade saying, I'm seriously looking at getting another passport for $100,000 in some country that's not here. Well, it's what I've seen.
Let's buy an island, make our own country.
Buy an island, not Diddy's island.
No.
I'm sure it's full of baby oil. Guys, we're almost at 800 viewers. Are you guys still getting those thumbs up in the chats? My God, we're climbing and climbing here on the viewer scale. We want to break that viewer record tonight. Get those get those likes in on the stream. Somebody's saying move to the Philippines, but here's the thing. I understand, but we shouldn't have to. We shouldn't have to. Things need to get under control with our country for the people who live here, not the people that are coming here. In your job sector, it came down to undercutting. In fact, years ago, like around the time JT was coming into office, there were engineers that were making at that time about $130K a year. And they were bringing over engineers from Dubai.
Yeah, before the big oil drop.
Yeah, so they were bringing people in from Dubai, the Philippines, all over. And those people were saying, I just want Canadian citizenship. So they'd come here and take a $130,000 engineering job for $90,000 a year because they're happy to work for that and send money back home to their relatives. So they would undercut people's jobs. And then these engineering firms would turn around and say, well, we want our bonuses. We're going to take that gives us more money to play with. So then they would tell the existing engineers, we're going to have to start downsizing or reducing people's wages because we're not bringing in the money we used to bring in. So you're going to have to go down to $90,000 a year if you want to keep working here, or else we're going to have to let you go. And then we're going to have to hire contract because they can't legally hire somebody to come in order to fill those positions. So it's a way of undercutting jobs.
Well, there's a lot of companies, like I used to recruit for a big company, that if you worked for them 10 years ago, that's the wage that you would start at.
Joker saying pay cuts in trucking also. Well, look no further than the Indian immigrants that are coming in.
Well, and they've got companies where they're not even actually licensed.
They're not licensed, and they're bringing in. It's because their friends get into management, and then they only hire their own kind.
Yes.
And that's not a racist remark. That's fact, and we've seen it everywhere. We've seen it reported in the news.
And it's not just trucking companies. It's everywhere. Grocery stores.
The problem I was getting to with what happened to those engineers is that in the 10 years since Justin has been in power, wages haven't really increased. In fact, anytime you've gone for a new job and you say, well, this is what I made at the old job, I need to be making that or a little bit more, they always hum and haw over it.
Yeah.
Like you're a criminal asking for enough money to pay your bills. And currently...
And I mean, I could say I need more, but usually I go in because I want a job, I need this much to pay my bills.
Well, really. And you're competing with immigrants.
Yes.
You have to go low. And corporations love this. The biggest problem of all is when you get your pay stub and we see 40-something odd % of your check going to taxes.
Yep.
That's where the problem is. That's where I'm saying it's not the minimum wage. It's how much money the government is taking. And it all goes back to the beginning of the stream, ladies and gentlemen. Justin Trudeau giving our money to his friends.
Other countries, laundering money, wasting money, lining his pockets while we pay for their recklessness, their carelessness, their absurd smugness, if that's even a word, their smug nature. Yeah, we're paying for
their scandals. That's the problem. That's why when you have people like Naheed Nenshi, he's essentially Jagmeet Singh 2.0. He lives a very rich and healthy lifestyle. This guy doesn't suffer. He doesn't have to struggle to pay his bills. He eats at fancy restaurants.
Even when he was mayor of the city, he was more worried about how he looked in the media than he was about actually doing anything.
Naheed Nenshi is the textbook definition of a social media whore. That guy loves the camera more than anything else on the planet. He has expensive suits. He has fancy watches. He drives nice cars, nice house. This is a guy who wants to talk down. He's like a Hollywood celebrity. He talks down and says, I understand you're suffering. I understand how difficult it is for you, when the guy hasn't suffered a day in his life.
No, he's never gone without a meal, so his kids have to eat. He's never had to suffer for anything. He probably
still lives in his parents' basement. No, I assure you, Nenshit does not. Gail saying, try phoning a government agency and they can barely speak English. Try phoning anywhere and they can't speak English. They're so we had so we used to be with Shaw Cable Systems for our internet, and they got bought out by Rogers. Now, since Rogers bought over, our internet coverage has gone to garbage. Their customer service is garbage. And what's funny is they called us last week and said, we're calling to see. I'm not going to make the fake voice and be racist, but
don't do blackface.
We're not going to do blackface, but they call and say, we want to see if your coverage is good, if you're happy, if you want any extra stuff. And I said to them, no, we're good. We're moving. We don't even know if we're going to continue your services when we move. And then 2 days later, I get the call again and tell them, look, guys, I already told your people we're good. You called before. Please take us off the list. We'll let you know if we need anything moving forward. Then they call again. Oh, we're calling again to see if you need services. I'm like, can I get somebody who speaks English, please? Hablo inglés. Right? The money that is wasted.
Yeah.
The mass immigration that we can't do anything about. I showed you guys this on the stream the other night. When you look at Jagmeet Singh's office. Take a look here at this. Jagmeet Singh's office in Burnaby. Completely empty. Jagmeet Singh expensed $143,000 in the last financial quarter to his constituency office. However, the office is locked and the lights are off. A note on the door has a phone number, but nobody answers it and voicemails are not returned. How and where is this money being spent?
Cool.
I'd sure like to know.
$1,000 for what's her face to, well, Miss Cat P for beauty. I mean, where's that going?
Well, Christia Freeland, $6,000 a month for beauty and spa days.
Clearly, she's not using it.
Spa days. Guys, on the multi-stream, we are almost at 1,000 viewers. We are sitting at 988. Get those thumbs up in the stream. We're going to hit our viewer goal tonight, I think, guys. Keep it going. Let's pump it up. Xylo saying Rolexes ain't cheap. No, they're not. Where we go? I saw it. The fleecing of the good Canadian people for whatever can, and they're doing right in front of our faces. They're flaunting it in front of us.
Yeah. They don't care because nothing's going to happen.
Lucas saying that office is minutes away from me. It's been closed for months. Again, where did the money go? I think this is part of the reason that you're seeing, again, a flip-flop with the NDP, that they're going to say, we can't support an election, but we don't want those documents coming forward either, because who's to say their name isn't in any of those documents? Who's to say that they're not getting any handouts from Justin Trudeau while they had their agreement that they tore up? Where's Jagmeet Singh? The NDP, I'll remind you, just finished paying back their loan from the last federal election during pandemic. So if that's the case, I think you have an emergency to attend to. If that's the case, ladies and gents, if they just finished paying back their loan, how do they have $143,000 to expense to an office? Where are they getting that from? Snatch saying so close. We dipped a little bit. We're at 992, guys. We're 8 viewers away from hitting that 1,000 view goal on the multi-stream. Get those thumbs up in the chats. Again, I want to see us break that record tonight. I want to see us hit 1,300 or more. Get those thumbs up in the stream. Prep Rebel Actual, and that is why there needs to be treason concerns for all politicians. It's the 11 need to be named, the 11 MPs. And this is where I say, people are worried about the documents of contracts that are coming out. People are talking about calling early elections. Why aren't we forcing the 11 MPs? Here's my question. I've heard rumor going around some of those MPs are conservative. Some of them are conservative, possibly. Now, until I know those names, I'm open to speculation, because we all know that money walks and bullshit, or money talks, bullshit walks. So if any of our MPs are compromised, especially conservative ones that are on their way into working in a majority government, I want to know. And I want to know who they are. We need the names of those 11. When did Justine have the deletion? I'm not sure. I emailed Brock and suggested the 11 should be another committee. I bet Trudy is one of them. Oh, we know Trudeau's one of them. We know Trudeau's one of them. I mean, Peter's saying it doesn't matter. They all need to go. I couldn't agree more. I think we should abolish all of them, start fresh, drain the swamp. Snatch saying, I want the right people to stay in Canada. You need to remove the welfare incentive. That's part of the problem when it comes to immigration. That's part of the problem when it comes to the expensive rents. It's not just the minimum wage that we were talking about earlier. The doors got to be closed. We got to start telling people you're not in here anymore. Holy crap, guys. We just broke 1,000. We just broke 1,003. We're at 1,003 in the stream on the multi-stream. Congrats, everybody. Just like that. Just like that. Carson Sexsmith, close enough. Great turnout tonight. Thank you so much for the $100 super chat. We just broke over the 1,000 mark, guys, on the multi-stream. Keep getting those thumbs up in there. Let's see if we can break the 1,300. Carson, thank you for that amazing, incredible super chat. I appreciate that. We gotta shut the doors. We got to tell these immigrants to go home until we get our own stuff under control. I think the great news is that the House of Commons is paused, so all the garbage liberal legislation is paused. Yeah, I said the same thing at the beginning of the stream. The good thing is that all wait, 4X guy, why do I see 657? I stream to multiple platforms through StreamYard when we're on stream. So it's not just YouTube, it's Twitter X as well. And I think we got things fixed on the Green Meanie. So I think we're streaming on there as well. We should be. Start deporting en masse. Ban the foreign home buyers. The foreign home buyers is a big deal, especially when you look at cities like Vancouver. I've said that for a long time. It's dirty Chinese money. It's laundering. They're laundering money. That's why for a long time in Vancouver, a lot of those homes, I don't know if they still are, but for a long time, a lot of those homes were empty. There were people going down the street saying that every second house was empty because a Chinese mogul was buying it and laundering their money here. Their dirty, illegal money. Micah with a $5 super chat. Keep up the great commentary. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. We got West Coast CNC becoming a new member of the Patriots Club. Thank you so much for becoming a member here tonight on the channel. Thank you to everybody who's either super chattered, super stickered, or become a member tonight on the channel, as well as the gifted memberships into the Patriots Club tonight. Any outside buying should have to be backed up with heavy documentation as to why you're buying that property, who's going to be living in that property, how long out of the year you're intending to be on that property if you're not a citizen. There should be rules. There's rules if I buy property in the United States. I'm not just allowed to go in there and say I'm buying a house unless I bought it full in cash, I believe. But I think there still are rules, even if I'm buying in cash, to acquiring U.S. property. The same thing needs to happen in Canada. We have to stop trying to be the nice people. There was... I heard some Americans talking this week about this is why Canadians need to be a little bit more harder on things. We don't have the Constitution to protect our freedom of speech in the same stance that Americans do. So we're more polite. We're more nice, right? We're the friendly Americans. We want to stay that way sometimes. But there comes a time when you have to tell people the door's closed. We can't help you anymore. We can't even help ourselves. And when those people are coming to this country and taking a crap literally on our doorsteps and beaches, it should be immediate deportation. Immediate go home. You're done. Don't pass go. Don't collect $200. Master of Snatch, you had sent me an article today. The foreign home buyers purchased the house and make it into an Airbnb. Yes, well, because they have to fill it. Snatch sent me an article today saying that it was Latin America. Crime had gone down. Snatch, can you chime into the chat? How much did crime go down and where was it in South America? But it was saying that so much of the crime had gone down recently and they were touting that how great that is. The reason the crime's gone down is because they're all coming here and going to America. They've all left and they're committing crimes there. DM saying revoke 263 or C63 and 293. Well, the good thing is they're on pause. I don't think it was El Salvador. I'll wait for Snatch to chime in the. I don't have my Discord open because he sent me the article earlier. But just Snatch, just give me a number and where it was from, how much it had gone down. If you can. It's but it's funny because they tout that, hey, our crime is down, but it's only down because they've come here. It was El Salvador, says Megan. Okay. And I believe it was down something like 38% or something like that. It was some silly number. And they were like, oh my God, our crime is down. It's way down. And it's like, well, of course it's down. They're all coming to Canada. They're all going to the United States. Look at the crime rates that have gone up here. Look at our own crime. I mean, Calgary alone, we have a mayor, a socialist Marxist mayor who was installed, who wants to defund the police while crime's at the highest it's been in decades. Decades. There's only 1.2% crime in El Salvador now. Well, yeah, they all left. They're all here. They're all here. You add 1 million people, it's going to change the stats as West Coast. But that's the point. That's why Trudeau's doing it. Everybody goes, why? Why is he leaving the door open? It's all for votes. It's all for this. It's optics. It's votes. It changes the statistics of voting Canadians. Eventually. Not all at once, but eventually. Trump says in his campaign speeches that those countries are emptying their jails and told to go to America. And if you come back, we'll unalive you. Yeah, that's basically what happens. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Speaking of the American election, keep your eyes peeled to the channel, folks. I am going to have to start covering some of the stuff that's crazy that's going on in the U.S. right now with the U.S. election, especially with us only being a couple weeks away from that next presidential election, where hopefully we don't see as many shenanigans as last time. Good old Donald prevails. We want to see him be the president of the United States. But we'll.
That was one of your worst.
I know. It's we need millions and millions of votes. But we're gonna have to start covering some of that because it's gonna get interesting and it's gonna get bloody. Chris Deering saying WW3 has begun. I want to touch on that too because earlier this week I put out a video showing the warning Putin is giving to the West, and people thought somehow I'm villainizing Putin for what's going on. Russia's been pushed into a corner by virtue signalers and Marxists, money launderers. The problem I have is that Putin's always threatening nuclear war. It doesn't matter. It's like, you wake up on Tuesday on my side of the country, you should do nuclear weapons. He's always threatening something. But my point being is that when you look at the missile attacks that are coming across over in Israel, when you look at what the Middle East is doing, when you look at what's happening in Russia, people going, you're just blowing smoke, you're huffing it, it's not going to happen. Yeah, it is. It's on its way. We're at our breaking points. There's my kids joining the stream now. Are we at that point? Are we over the hour mark? We are over the hour mark. You always know when the kids are coming in when it's at the hour mark. What else is unbelievable? JD with $100 super chat. I told Carson I would match his $100. I'm a man of my word. One thing, Derek, it's hard to hear Mrs. Fringe when she's speaking. I know we're currently sharing a mic, two folks, one mic. But as soon as this move is done, I'm part of the benefit to where we're going. And thank you so much again for that $100 super chat. Yeah, part of the plan when we move is that the house that we're purchasing is going to have an undeveloped basement, which means open canvas. I'm going to build and construct an actual set, hopefully, for us to sit at, where you're going to get your own desk, your own camera, your own mic, and you won't have to sit so close to me. So you'll probably have some relief. And
you love it.
And we're going to have an actual professional looking show for you guys instead of just sitting in the basement in front of some arcade machines. I'm looking forward to crafting that studio for you guys. So again, my apologies that you can't hear Mrs. Fringe as well. But part of it again is the room that we have at this table that we're using and the fact that I can't really add to it while we're showing the house, trying to get it sold, because it would just generate where I've got to put stuff to hide when people come over. So again, my apologies, but thank you so much, everybody, for sticking it out with us, for sticking it out. Xylo just announced $157 million to Lebanon from the U.S., nothing for hurricane victims.
No.
This is, again, the virtue signaling. They think that these optics are going to somehow help them when it comes to the U.S. election. I'm going to get into that later on in the week when we do a surprise stream again. Maybe we'll start talking a little bit more about U.S. elections. But on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I do have to start wrapping things up. Snatch saying it's called The Great Replacement. Yes, it is. I have to start wrapping up because, again, the kids, once I get about an hour in, just over an hour, they start getting restless. And before you know it, it's going to be pandemonium down here. Dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria here on the stream. I know I always drop that Ghostbusters line. I love Ghostbusters. Halloween's coming up. We need to watch that soon.
It is.
We got to watch some Ghostbusters. My daughter asked if she could watch John Wick with us this weekend. I don't know how that's going to go across, but
she may have been suggested.
it might have been suggested just a little bit. But on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I want you, holy crap, Prep Rattle actual $139 super chat. You go, gang. My goodness, you guys, thank you so much for your generosity tonight. I want to get to all the super chats tonight because I want to thank everybody. JR for the $5 super chat. Alice Evan Lee for the $2 super sticker. Chris Deering for the 5 Unacceptable Fringe Patriots Club memberships. Thank you so much. Dustin Ellis with a $5 super chat. Rodney becoming a new member. We've got MJW with a $10 super chat. Thank you so much. Shelby Monroe, $3 super sticker. JR with another $7 super chat. Carson Sexsmith with a $5 super chat. Dustin Ellis chiming in again with another $5. Carson with more super chats. Biaxial Flip with a $5 super chat. Gier Savoy coming in with a $5 as well. Chris Deering with more support to the channel. Carson coming in with a massive super chat again. Micah, $5 super chat. West Coast CNC becoming a member of the Patriots Club. JD with another massive super chat, as well as Prep Reputable Actual. You guys, you're really too generous. Thank you so much. I'm literally humbled and really taken back anytime you guys show that kind of
best community ever. Really.
You prove to me every week that this is the greatest community on the platform, and I'm always humbled and grateful. Your show is a highlight of my week. Love your family. Good luck with selling the home. I really do think. Thank you so much, Bliss. I think things are picking up because before this, we didn't know where the Calgary market was. Our realtor was lost because we had nothing in the neighborhood that had sold. Now that a few have sold, as of this week, we have a better scope as to where we sit, and we think that we've got the tactical advantage right now. So I do think that within about the next week to 2 weeks, you're going to hear us saying we're selling, we're going, it's happening. Fingers crossed. We hope it works out. But ladies and gents, thanks for hanging out here tonight. Keep your eyes peeled. Again, turn on your bells for notifications. Sometime this week, I'll drop in with some surprise streams. We'll talk about U.S. politics. We'll talk about all the fun stuff. And I want to hear more about what you guys have to say. Snatch saying, I think Miss Fringe needs her own mic again, Snatch. As soon as we move, it's happening. Captain Calgary, you're staying in Alberta? Yes, we're moving to Spruce Grove, west of Edmonton. Looking forward to small town life. But we will be organizing again a viewer get together in Calgary as we're leaving for anybody who wants to meet up, anybody who has books that they want signed, photos, just to chat and hang out. And then when we move to Spruce Grove, we'll be doing a viewer meetup in that area for Edmonton viewers, as well as anybody locally in that area as well. Hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend. Keep your eyes peeled. I got a great video coming out tomorrow I think is really going to catch your interest on good old shoplifters in this country. It's a good one, so make sure to tune into that. Keep your eyes peeled this week for any upcoming videos. I do have regular content dropping from Monday to Friday here on the channel. Enjoy your weekends, guys. Stay safe. Look after each other. Stay warm. From Mrs. Fringe and myself here on the channel, we wish you guys all the best. Look after yourselves and your families. We'll catch you on the next one, everybody. Take care.
Take care.
Have a